Hi everyone, my name is Melissa Dickens and I am a senior planner with the Hillsborough City-County Planning Commission, as well as the chair of the Suncoast section, which is a section in West Central Florida. I'm here today with Whit Blanton. He is the executive director of Forward Pinellas and has an extensive career in planning leadership. He's been involved in APA, national, state, and local leadership, and today we're going to be talking about mentoring for mid-career professionals. Whit, one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of the existing mentoring programs are targeted more towards students or maybe people who are at the beginning phases of their career. And so for someone like myself who's at the middle phase of their career, maybe I have a few years of experience, why is mentoring still important for that level?
Well, I think it's important for a number of reasons. We as planners are really focused on doing a good job in what we're doing, but we don't always pay attention to how we advance and what's next for us and what are our options and how do we optimize those options. And that's why mentoring really plays an important role for mid-career planners, because it helps us to pause and really assess where our career is going, what avenues we have for growth, and how can we get there. And I have a number of planners in my staff who are asking, how do I grow? What's my future? And that's not surprising. When people get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years into their career, they see others having success and they want to know, how can I have that success too? How can I grow and do the amazing things I see other people doing?
Yeah, and it seems like having a mentor really fills that gap. It helps to bridge the gap between starting your career, maybe understanding how planning works in your community, and then transitioning into planning leadership.
That's right, and our profession is evolving so much. 25 years ago, or almost 30 years ago now, when I started, you just got thrown into the job and you were given assignments and you just did them. If you were fortunate, you found somebody that you could look to who you could inspire you and you could model your behavior professionally after. But I think the value of having a career coach, having somebody who can be a rock in your profession, is nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to actually have pride in because you've developed a relationship with somebody and it really does add value. So I think there's a lot of positive in having that support professionally.
Absolutely, and it's someone that you can bounce ideas off of. Maybe they have handled a situation that you are in the process of going through, and so it's just an opportunity to really talk about those things. And so what you have served as a mentor in our Coaching for the Advancement of Mid-Level Planners program for the Suncoast section. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience and what you did with your mentee?
Sure. Well, first of all, I learned as much from him as I think he learned from me. It's always good to have that transactional relationship because younger planners, whether they're mid-career or earlier, they bring new ideas and fresh perspectives that you might not have. What we did is very simple. We discovered that we both like drinking beer, so we met for happy hour and had some really good conversations over a couple of beers. We met for lunch, and then we met at a planning event. And those 3 opportunities established us, I think, as easy to communicate professionals. We corresponded by email, we had a couple of phone calls, and it wasn't necessarily a long-lasting relationship, but it's somebody who I can go back to and I think can come back to me.
I'm sure, yeah.
And keep that relationship going. So it was a very easy, casual conversation, not anything too formal, and that was really the beauty of it. And like I said, I learned a lot because I understood better where some of my staff are coming from at 6 or 8 years of their career, where they might feel they're stuck and they're trying to break through. And just the opportunity to engage in conversation with somebody opened my eyes a little bit about how to address my staff maybe differently.
Well, and you brought up a good point. Mentoring is really a two-way street in a lot of cases. We have a mentoring program for students as well, and I find that when I mentor the students, I'm learning new technology that I didn't understand before I met them, but also learning a lot about what are some of the things people want to learn when they come into the field? And then that helps me if there are more junior people on staff. Just having that relationship gives a really good perspective.
Right. I also think that management can get into a certain mindset if they're not careful. They're focused on budgets, they're focused on elected officials, and the day-to-day grind of being in a management position. And when you take a pause and you engage with a mentee, then it really helps you reframe how you manage people, how you guide people in their career growth. And that has really helped me. And that's really why that two-way dialogue is important. I have a number of planners, not only on my staff, but who I've worked with over many years, who ask questions like, how can I be a project manager? How can I go to the next level? And for me, a lot of it is seeking out people who are successful and asking questions of them and finding somebody who you can model your behavior after. Also, not being afraid to just doing things, taking on an assignment. Don't wait for direction, and not be afraid to make mistakes. And those are some of the simple pieces of advice that I like to give folks. I was brought into this profession by somebody who taught me to not be afraid of making mistakes and to be bold and to be creative. And it served me really well. But I find that a lot of mid-career planners, they've been really good at the one thing, and they haven't been told that they can be creative. They've been told to produce a certain level of work. And they need to be freed from that shackle sometimes of, I'm just going to produce good work. How about if I think out of the box? How about if I bring a new idea to the table? And that's incredibly freeing when somebody gives you that ability.
Yeah, and it's very much not just you do good work. That's only one piece of the puzzle. You can do great work, and if you don't have some of the soft skills that go along with moving into leadership, you're going to do great work, but you're going to do great work at that level. And having access to a mentor, having someone that you can talk to, I think really helps mid-career professionals really think big picture, right? So they see all the different angles that folks who are in more executive positions have to think about: strategy, timing, communication, relationship building. All of those things are things that we're not taught in school. It's something that you learn on the job, and having a mentor, someone who can show you those things, is really invaluable.
Yeah, and I would just add that having a diversity of skills and understanding a wide variety of planning activities, techniques, or issues is really important as you grow in your career, because you need to be conversant on a number of different levels, and not being afraid to explore and investigate and ask for those opportunities at that mid-career level is really important to that career growth.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And so for someone who maybe does not have a formal mentoring program where they are, what sort of advice would you give to someone who has a few years of experience when they're looking for a mentor? How should they go about approaching an executive, someone who may be very busy? What's the best way to try to start to establish a relationship?
I think there are a number of ways. First, in this era of social media, that's a good way, is to follow somebody on Twitter who you admire and engage with them that way, or Instagram or any other platform that you feel comfortable with. Don't be a stalker, but use that as a basis for engaging and saying, hey, I really like what you've been saying. Do you have a few moments to chat? Making the phone call or meeting up with somebody after a meeting. So if we have technical coordinating meetings, we have planners advisory council meetings. For gosh sakes, there's a number of opportunities. After that meeting is over, just go up and introduce yourself and say, hey, I really like the work you're doing. Would you be able to talk with me sometime? And most people would be very flattered with that, and they would make time in their schedule. There's a myth that all senior managers are super busy, but honestly, they control their time and have a lot of ability to carve out time for people. And if you're at that level in your career and you're doing well, you do make time for people. So don't be shy and just reach out. But I do think the social media aspect gives you a common platform of following somebody, seeing what they're about, and then engaging them in things that maybe they find interesting.
Yeah, social media is great too, because it helps you connect with some of those folks who have the broad perspective, have the different perspective on planning issues. And what I found in seeking out really informal mentoring relationships is that every time I reached out and emailed someone or even met up with them after a meeting, everybody was so willing to help and so willing to meet with me to talk about different issues. I feel like I have a mentor for every aspect of my career that I want to work on, because people have been so willing to help and go the extra mile towards helping other planners succeed.
That's right. And I had some great advice early in my career when I was thinking about becoming a leader within APA and running for office. And the advice was, do it. You will meet the most amazing planners from all over the country, and you will learn from them. And that's proven true whether I was a division chair or on the board of directors or anything like that. So one of my pieces of advice for mid-career professionals is, if you haven't, get involved in APA, whether at the section or the state or the national level, and contribute your time, and you will meet amazing professionals and you will have that network. And it served me well in my career.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Whit, thanks so much for talking with me about mentoring today. This was great.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Melissa, anytime. Thank you.